Very good evening, viewers. You are watching the Urban Debate with me, Afrida Rehman Ali. The IMD has issued an orange alert for Mumbai and the western coast of the state. Heavy rains have lashed across the city from earlier today. Few hours of rain have left the city in tatters. Pictures on your screens of what the scenes were like in these important locations of Mumbai. Life completely thrown out of gear. This is the maximum city with maximum inconvenience to the Mumbaikars. Let's take you through some of those visuals that will give you an idea of the level and extent of the flooding that took place and the commuters and their inconvenience. Let's first look at Wadala Road at 4 p.m. That's the picture from Wadala where the streets were flooded. People, as you can see, were wading through waterlogged streets. Next, let's pull out the pictures from Science Circle. This is 9 a.m. viewers earlier this morning. Rains lashed across the locality. Streets there again completely waterlogged. Another important locality in Andheri in Mumbai suburbs. That's the situation. You can see the traffic slows down immensely when something of this nature happens, because if there is waterlogging, everything slows down. Commute times often goes double or triple in certain cases. Andheri is one of those areas badly waterlogged. These are pictures from 3 p.m. today. Let's show you Santa Cruz at 12 p.m. this afternoon. The Western Express Highway there completely waterlogged again. Our cameraman took pains to bring you these pictures going through those roads, so that you get an idea how the roads turned rivers, literally. There are the pictures on your screens. And from Sion again earlier this morning, waterlogging due to heavy rain. So practically all residential areas around Mumbai suburbs had to suffer through this. The commuters had to go through this, and road traffic particularly badly hit. Everything slows down. There's crippling traffic jams around the arterial roads in Mumbai. And along with this, the other problem that many Mumbaikars are facing are the potholes that have resurfaced. The first shower of rains, what it does is, it washes away the shoddily done job of filling potholes, and the potholes then emerge once again. And that's the risk that Mumbaikars run if they're plying on those roads, because you can imagine you can't see a pothole if it is filled with water. Your vehicle can get derailed, and of course the roads become extremely unsafe. Another issue is the delay in the metro work that has caused much inconvenience. What's also adding to the woes is the fact that at the moment the corporation, the BMC elections are due. Therefore, you do not have corporators in their offices who can be answerable for this. And we don't even know when elections to the BMC is going to be held. This also means there are no corporators, no accountability for anything that is going wrong at the moment. What will wake up the authorities? That's the big question that we are asking, and I want to welcome our guest tonight to take us through their perspectives on this problem. But before I do that, I would have to bring in my colleagues who've been working tirelessly on ground to get us those pictures, reporting since morning. Let's go first across to Sandip, who's reporting on the flooding situation. Let me get in Sandip. Yes, Sandip, tell us, where exactly are you? What are the immediate concerns?
See, at this point of time, I'm right at Chembur, and I'm being joined by the localites out here, the Mumbaikars who travel on daily basis. Now, Afrida, just there have been around 9,000 crores and more spent for storm water drain in last 5 years by BMC, and still the situation of Mumbai streets remains the same. Waterlogging is the issue that is being faced by the Mumbaikars, and I'll quickly get some voices out here from Chembur. अपना नाम बताइए।
मेरा नाम आफ्ताब आलम बकई है।
आफ्ताब जी, एक बात बताइए, लगातार बारिश हो रही है, हर साल की ये दृश्य जो है वो हमें देखने को मिलती है, कितनी दिक्कतों का सामना करना पड़ता है, क्या कुछ कहेंगे?
ये तो बड़े अफसोस की बात है, जिस नगर निगम और सारे देशों की कई राज्यों से हमारी मुंबई महानगर पालिका का कई राज्यों से बड़ा बजट है, और ऐसी महानगर पालिका जिसका वार्षिक ईयरली सालाना 48 से 50 करोड़ रुपया सालाना बजट होने के बावजूद भी मुंबई और मुंबई की सड़कों की बहुत दुर्दशा बहुत 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 खराब है। मतलब लोगों को समझना मुश्किल हो गया कि हम सड़क में चल रहे कि खड्डे में चल रहे। सड़क हाँ बहुत है।
आप बताइए कितनी दिक्कतों का सामना करना पड़ता है, आप घर से बाहर निकलते हैं कितनी दिक्कतों का सामना करना पड़ता है?
भाई इतना ज्यादा है। हम लोग तो मान लो एक टैक्सी ड्राइवर हैं, लेकिन यहाँ से समझ लो मुझे वासी नाका तक जाना है, तो अगर एक हफ्ता लगातार गाड़ी लेके जाएंगे तो गाड़ी का अलाइनमेंट और बैलेंसिंग दोनों खराब हो जाएगा।
ये सड़कों की हाल है,
सड़कें और खड्डे।
आप बताइए आप क्या काम करते हैं, कि आपको नौकरी पेशा है या क्या कुछ करते हैं, और जब आप काम वाम पर जाते हैं तो कितनी दिक्कतों का सामना करना पड़ता है? कितने सालों से मुंबई की बारिश आई?
सर ये तो बहुत दिन से देख रहे हैं, मगर आप मेरी बात का अंदाजा इस ढंग से लगाइए। अगर घर पे आना है, नीचे रिक्शे वाले को हाथ दिए रुक गया और एरिया के नाम बताया तो उतार देता है। इससे आप अंदाजा लगा सकते हैं।
So this is a problem. Sandip, thanks for bringing us those voices. You know, the other problem, the commute in a city like Mumbai is absolutely killing. And I can say that from my personal experience. All of us are facing it. The cab aggregators also going for a loot. There is surge pricing. Triple the amount is being charged at the moment, even as I speak today as well. This is something we have faced. My colleague Apeksha joins us to take us precisely through this aspect of it. You know, Apeksha, good evening. Want you to take us through the point about traffic congestion and how severe and acute it is for a Mumbaiker, and the commute time, how it gets only longer with, you know, the rains predicted again for the next 3 days. What are we in for?
Well, Afrida, you know, absolutely. Like, I can tell from my personal experience, I'm born and brought up in Mumbai. And as much as, you know, we enjoy the rains in Mumbai, what we dread is the traffic. Because the minute it starts raining, the first casualty is the traffic, you know, the traffic on the roads. And in order to give our viewers a sense of what we're talking about and why are we harping on this point so much, what we've done is we've drawn up the Google map. Now, what we'll try and show our viewers is that how long does it take for anybody from, you know, traveling across the length and breadth of the cities, from the main points, the main junctions where most of the offices are. And if you look at the time right now, it's quite a normal time for, you know, everybody to step out from their offices and go home. So this is the first location that we want to bring to our viewers. Now, this is from where our office is, which is in Lower Parel, right up to Andheri, a very busy, you know, a very bustling and a busy route for anybody who's a professional. So here, now this is a 21.4 kilometer stretch, and the time that is right now, there are multiple routes here, and even if you look at the shortest route, it's 50 minutes. All right, this is one route. The other route that we're going to talk about is from Kolaba, which is southern part of Mumbai, right up to Andheri, which is again another commercial district. This is about 31.1 kilometer the distance, and it's taking nearly 1.5 hours right now. Let's look at the third very popular route. This is again from Bandra West to Kandivli station, which is the northern end of the city. Now, this is a 19.5 kilometer route, and it's taking us nearly 1.5 hour here, and a little more than 1.5 hour here, if depending on which you know, route you take. Another one is Dadar, another important route here. Now, this is from Dadar right up to Virar. So this is like the length and the breadth of the city. This, look at the amount of time it's taking. It's 2 hours 45 minutes. That's, you know, how much you would add another half an hour or 40 minutes and you will reach Pune. You know, that's the kind of traffic we're looking at. And one last I would like to show you is from Mahim to Borivali, almost here 2 hours for a 27 you know, kilometer stretch. So that is the kind of traffic jam that we're talking about the minute monsoon start. This is a regular affair, but you know, the impact amplifies the minute you have monsoons in the city, Afrida.
Apeksha, thank you so much. Of course, I'm worried how I will get home this evening with the kind of figures you're showing me. And of course, many of us travel from the suburbs. Connectivity at the moment has taken a bad hit. Let me go across to our guest this evening. Joining us here on the program, Mr. Yogi Gade, corporator, Dilip Cherian, founder of Perfect Relations, Shailesh Gandhi, former CIC, Chandrashekhar Prabhu, who's an urban planner, and Shailesh Sinha, CEO, Traffic People Foundation. I would allow my guests to make their opening comments, because all of us have an opinion on this. And I want to start with Yogi Gade. You are a corporator. You also, I believe, belong to the Shiv Sena. This is a party that actually runs most of the corporations in and around Mumbai. Tell us, how do we, is there a functioning BMC at the moment? What is the situation? We know the elections are due, but until such time, will people be left to fend for themselves?
Yes, as first I'll answer you. I'm a corporate from Ahmednagar, which is 100 kilometers from Pune, not from Mumbai. Basically, as the floodings have been, I have had a lot of research and study about the floodings. As we have seen cities in India like be it Mumbai, Pune, Ahmedabad, Surat, Delhi, Hyderabad. Many of our urban cities are getting flooded in a rain which is having more than 100 to 120 centimeters of rainfall in a day. If you have gone to see in recent times, all global cities, be it from New York to cities in Australia to European cities, they are all facing flooding. It is one of the main reasons is also the concrete jungles that we are making, not letting water drain through natural land. As we have more and more concrete jungles in the city, in the urban areas, the more flooding is easily caused when there's a lot of rain in a single day. It's not only Mumbai, it is not only Delhi, it is not only Surat or Ahmedabad. It is global cities, and one of the major reasons is also global warming. Because of global warming and climate change is real, and the world needs to address these issues, be it climate change, be it global warming.
But tell me, Mr. Gade, the fact is that the potholes have resurfaced. Let's address this issue. The fact is that when you do a shoddy job of fixing the roads, do you realize how much it adds to the problem? If we did not have this substandard roads, at least the people wouldn't have suffered so much. We know how many times people have fallen into manholes in Mumbai and lost their lives even. So for all the climate change and for all the incessant rains that you are quoting right now, and for all the global cities that you're talking about, I'm sorry, but in terms of the apathy that we see, I think it's quite visible. Let me have Dilip Cherian weigh in on that. Mr. Cherian?
Thank you, Afrida. My sense is that there are two aspects to this, and the two are unrelated. One is corruption, which you've just addressed squarely, and it's an important issue. Corruption goes hand in hand with what I call unplanned urbanization. And the second issue is that of preparedness and foresight. For example, I think that major cities in India who are all aware, and I'm going on the second point, who are all aware that global warming and flash rains are likely, flash floods are a result, should be doing hard testing of their infrastructure to get rid of storm water. And this needs to be done in the merry months of March and April, not waiting for July to happen. So I think that this is something that civic leaders, media, and elected leaders all need to get onto. Why do we wait till July? What is wrong with the month of March to test this out? You can pump vast quantities of water in and test out whether these drains are working. So that's to do with the second point, which I wanted to deal with. As far as the first point is concerned, yes, rampant urbanization and rampant corruption. These are unfortunately aspects of our municipal and corporate bodies as far as the cities are concerned. And that also is because of citizen apathy as far as elections to these bodies are concerned. When the time comes for action, you say, blame the corporator. But when the time comes to select him, you leave it to the 20% of people who choose to vote in corporation elections. So I think it's time that media houses like you woke up the citizenry and made sure that they participate more in these elections that are likely to come in Bombay and happen in other cities too.
The 2 points that you raised, Mr. Cherian, I would like to take it to Mr. Shailesh Gandhi. Rampant urbanization, rampant corruption. And the result is for us to see. I want to ask you, Mr. Gandhi, there is a very strong builder-corporator nexus, which nobody wants to talk about, but a lot of the rampant constructions that are happening around the city, the bad planning that we keep talking about, is because of this, isn't it? Could you highlight for our viewers that where exactly is the problem when we look at the root of it all?
To some extent, I agree with Mr. Gade that urbanization is causing this and global warming, etc., is adding to this. For the last 40, 50 years, I remember every year during monsoon, this is the standard story. If you probably look at the mirror now, last year, monsoons, and the year before, it will look as if it's a repeat performance of the same story. I'm not too sure if floods can actually be provided. I'm sometimes having a doubt. I'd like to blame it on somebody, but unless we have a massive change in the stormwater drains and have massive pumps, and I don't know whether that kind of investment would be justified or realistic. On the roads, Mr. Cherian is 100% right. It is a lot of corruption and lack of planning that is leading to this. On your plane that there are no cooperators and therefore there is any difference, the answer is nil. Cooperators being there or not being there would make zero difference to the flooding. I don't think any year when the cooperators have been around, it has made any difference either. So I think we need to recognize that maybe 3 to 5 days in a year, we will lose to monsoon in a city like Mumbai, or we must have urban centers where there's lesser rainfall, or complete redesign and project approach to saying we want to save these 5 to 7 days inconvenience every year, and therefore we need large amount of investment on stormwater, etc., stormwater drains. I'm not too sure if that will ever happen. But
those are damage control measures, isn't it, Mr. Gandhi?
But in terms of
structural
roads,
changes are perhaps required. There needs to be a stringent law to prevent urbanization, rampant urbanization, and the fact that there are these constructions, the high rises coming up, literally mushrooming everywhere. How is this kind of population going to be sustained in a city like ours, bursting in the seams at the moment?
That's a policy matter, and I wish we could think in terms of lesser urbanization, lesser FSI, but the way the policy has been designed, this is the natural outcome of this. Then we need to fight the policy of higher FSIs. If we do that, that'd be the right solution, really speaking.
Okay, Mr. Prabhu, do you agree on this particular issue of where exactly, what is the root of this problem and how do we address this? I agree with Mr. Shailesh Gandhi that with or without the cooperators, it's the same story. Every year, this is the image.
See, first of all, let me set the record straight. We've heard a lot of narratives in this show, and that doesn't reflect the realities correctly. So let me set the record straight. In Mumbai, there are 1,20 lakh people, out of which about 80 to 90 lakh people move out of their homes. Rest remain in their homes. So who travel is 80 to 90 lakh people. 70 lakh people, that is 7 million people, use the trains. So they have nothing to do with the roads per se. They have something to do with the roads, that is from their residences to the railway station, one, and from the railway station that they get off, that is Churchgate or VT, to the place for where they work, or maybe Elphiston Road or Lower Parel to the place for where they work. So for 75 to 80% of the population, all these kind of road narratives that you have given mean nothing, zilch. I mean, no one goes, like I was quite amused as an expert to hear that going from Dadar to Virar, no one goes by road from Dadar to Virar. I don't know. I don't know whether even 10 cars or 20 cars go from the other to Virat. So why
Those are correct. I
waste
cannot
time of
authenticate
the
it, but I am
viewer
sorry
on
if I may
talking
be
about
just
narrative?
allowed to say this much, Mr. Prabhu. I'm getting colleagues who are also telling me I travelled other to Virar.
No,
but
let
what
me
I want to ask you is,
Please
you are
don't
giving me the
interrupt.
proportion. You are saying a very small population is
setting the
impacted. Is that your
record
argument? Mr. Prabhu, you are saying a very small population is impacted, so let this be.
I'm setting the record straight. I'm setting the record straight. So 40 lakh people, 35 to 40 lakh people travel in BST buses. Then 10 lakh people use auto rickshaw to and from the railway station. These are factual figures. And people like me who own cars take their cars from the place of residence to the place of work.
That may be one argument, Mr. Prabhu, but if you look at cities around the world, I am sure this argument will not hold good for any city across the world. You cannot say let this be because a very small portion of the population use the roads. Should we then not bother about the roads? Should we not bother about traffic? I do understand. Absolutely. A bulk of the travelling population use the local train. But I refuse to accept, therefore it's not a problem. It is a problem, sir.
Figures in proper perspective because it is my duty as an expert to put the figures in proper perspective, and that I have set the record straight. Now coming to the issue of flooding. The issue of flooding is very simple. 50 millimeters is the per hour is the capacity of the stormwater drain to take the water out of where they flood. If it rains more than 50 millimeters an hour, the system doesn't take it. So the city has to augment the capacity to increase the capacity of the stormwater from 50 millimeters to 100 millimeters, so that even if it rains more, it will not flood. That is point number one. Point number two is indiscriminate urbanization. Urbanization happens as a result of increase in population, but indiscriminate urbanization, plots kept for playgrounds, for garden, for amenities, for schools, for colleges get de-reserved and they are given to the builders. An unholy nexus exists between the builders, the politicians, the bureaucrats, and a section of the underworld. This unholy nexus operates and creates a total chaos in the city, which can be termed as indiscriminate urbanization. There is no system.
Which is why I asked that question, that somewhere the course correction that can be done, those are decisions which no one will take, which is very difficult to take. The fact that you have builders who get access to the kind of land which should not be given for high-rise construction, they manage to get it because it takes greasing a few palms, isn't it? Mr. Shailesh Sinha, do you agree? The urbanization, we know about the storm. We know about the stormwater drain issue. There may not be an immediate facility to expand that, sir. But what we can do is at least, you know, call out this nexus.
It can be done. The kind of money, technically, it can be done. The kind of money that we spent on just cleaning
I'll come in the conversation.
The capacity, technically,
okay, that's good to hear that it can be done. But there is no political intent. Let Mr. Shailesh Sinha speak, please. Can I have Mr. Shailesh Sinha speak, please? Yes.
Yeah, I'm speaking. I'm speaking. It doesn't rain in Mumbai; it pours. So, as what the expert said just before me, that the capacity is 50 millimeters to take care of. So, if we know that the capacity is this much, why can't we work towards expanding or increasing the capacity? Somebody was saying nobody travels from Virar to Dadar. If somebody travels, then what? We are not talking about traffic jams. We are talking about, flooding on the road. We have, all the water bodies around. So many creeks are there, so many sea. I mean, the whole Mumbai is around the sea. So why can't we have such a beautiful drainage system in which all the water what comes in the city and blocks the roads, can be drained out? I mean, my point is, why can't we envision that? My point is, why, when we know that July, August, September are the time when the monsoon will be pouring in Mumbai, then why can't we work on the things well in advance? And I'm telling you, I've been debating on the subject for the last 2 decades. I'm telling you about Delhi and Mumbai. The same things are happening. So many developments are happening. Why can't we work on the things in we say that yes,
because
we
people
have
don't
increased the
matter.
drainage part.
Because
I mean,
people don't matter. Did you not witness the entire drama, the power tussle? The leaders are busy with power grabbing. When it comes to real issues of the people, when it comes to their commute, when it comes to giving their due for the tax that they pay, I'm sorry to say the leadership across parties have failed us.
I'm telling you,
they have failed us time and again, year after year.
Absolutely.
And this is shortchanging the taxpayers.
You do not
we pay through our noses, we get nothing in return.
What pothole does to a person. Absolutely. Potholes, I mean, it's not only waterlogging. I'm telling you, potholes. Pothole kills people. You do not understand. If a two-wheeler guy is coming and he gets a hidden pothole, he can die. His spine can break. I mean, why can't the administrator, why can't the politicians, why can't the system see these things? Why only they see that urbanization is happening, builder nexus is there. I mean, everything is happening in front of everyone. Why can't you take action in advance when you know that July is the time when the rain will be coming in,
sir.
And the whole
when
of
will
Mumbai,
they focus on monsoon preparedness? The political parties in Maharashtra until last week were engaged in resort politics. They were busy buying MLAs. There was a trading of MLAs going on. How will they even focus on getting the city prepared for the monsoons?
Taken care of.
So that is the tragedy of it all. Yogi Gade ji, road safety, is it not a priority? I mean, we just heard Mr. Sinha say how dangerous it can be to navigate your way around potholes. You can't see a pothole if it is filled with water. I drive on Mumbai roads and I know how risky it is for me. Because if I bump into one of those potholes, not knowing that there is one, I can be bumped by another car from behind. So it's that kind of risk that Mumbaikars are taking on a day-to-day basis.
Yes, if it's not only Mumbai, but a lot of cities in India have these pothole issues. And definitely the bureaucrats, the politicians...
I don't want to hear about other cities. I want to know why the BMC year after year gets away with it, despite
All
collecting
cities.
the
Why
highest
BMC?
taxes. We've heard the amounts being quoted of the kind of money that they claim to be allocating to fixing roads. What kind of roads are we getting?
Instead of just one city, all the cities need to abide. And yes, I'm personally not from Mumbai, but as an Indian, I'm saying all cities, bureaucrats and politicians need to address this issue. Like in Ahmednagar, I write letters right in March and April for the drains to get cleaned, the natural drains. And it is as a youngster, I've seen it is sad that so many of the natural drains have been taken and mafias. They have been covered, and this has happened like many years back. And now when you have just come into politics as a young leader, you cannot do, because these things have happened like 20 years, 25 years back. So many natural drain systems have been destroyed in cities across India. And this is one major reason why there is flooding too. And if you don't keep the natural drain systems as they are, and you touch them, when you play with nature, the nature pays you back. That is one reason. And as one of the panelists said, not more than 50 mm of rain per hour can be handled. So correctly, if like 1 or 2 years back, even I have read about this, the best of the cities in the world cannot handle rains above 120 mm in a day. And then I saw that cities like Mumbai and all have received more rains than 120 mm sometimes in a day and all. And you have the best drainage facilities in the world, yet it will get flooded because
do you
too much
agree,
rain,
Dilip
and that is
Cherian,
just
that
because
will
of our
give yourself the
concrete
best
jungles.
drainage,
Just because
yet
of our
you will face
concrete
this
jungles.
if the
Yes,
rainfall
because the
exceeds a
best of
certain limit?
cities. Yes, because the best.
You know, I think Afrida, the main point is that what Yogi Gade is saying is correct, that you can technically prepare for this kind of a thing. But we have to take in mind that city planners have to decide between where do I spend the money? Do I spend it on better, for example, better drains, or do I spend it on improving the train network and the connectivity to the train stations? So these are calls they have to take, because no city, except for perhaps Mumbai, has very large budgets. And if Mumbai were to use its budgets right, I think citizens' voices need to be heard. Citizens' voices, as I said, don't get heard because people are allowing their corporators to play these power games, which distracts them from looking after each season's problems. Every season has its round of problems. And I think that the monsoons are the bane of Mumbai, and the corporators need to focus on the fact that these are the 4 months of the year when they need to completely be hands-on on making sure that citizens' lives are not disrupted. It's not about 30 millimeters or 110 millimeters. That will come and go. In fact, it'll keep rising with the increase of urbanization and global warming.
Yes, but let's talk solutions. Shailesh Gandhi, if you can give me 1 or 2 or 3 points that immediately can be done to mitigate the situation, what would it be?
As far as flooding is concerned, I am almost beginning to feel that maybe we don't have a solution. Maybe, I'm wrong. Or the solution will be so expensive that it will never get implemented. But on the potholes in the roads, I believe BMC for a new road takes a guarantee for 5 years. Internationally, I have told many countries for bituminous roads have a guarantee of 10 years. And those guarantees are actually implemented. In Mumbai, I believe the guarantees take for 5 years, but even the next year, if the potholes occur, the BMC pays for it and the contractor doesn't pay. That's because of the corruption. Here's a simple suggestion which can be implemented immediately by BMC. Let them put a map of the complete city with all roads, which you can identify by zooming in, and say which contractor did the work there and for how long is the thing guaranteed, and who's the engineer to be contacted in case of a pothole. This is something which can be done virtually within a week. And if that is done, citizens will look after their own roads and report whenever their road has a problem and ensure that the contractor pays for it and repairs the road. That itself could make a huge difference to the pothole story and the poor road story. I believe this is a solution that can be very easily implemented.
Okay.
On flooding, I'm not too sure. As I said, I'm beginning to feel that maybe ideally we shouldn't have urbanized so much. But now that we have, I don't see how we can put a stop to it immediately.
Mr. Chandrashekhar Prabhu, do you agree certain things are beyond redemption, can't be helped? The geographical location cannot be changed, but certain things probably
not at all. I'm extremely optimistic. I'm extremely optimistic. I do not think they are beyond redemption. I think they can be controlled immediately. But let me again set the record straight. The municipal corporation budget has nothing to do with railways. So municipal corporation doesn't decide whether to provide railways or spend money on railways or railway infrastructure. That has something to do with the Indian Railways, which is the central government. The municipal corporation has to do with water supply, with electricity, the roads, the municipal schools, the hospitals. That's the municipal corporation's work. And in this regard, it's very simple. We have given a solution, we have made master plan for it, that immediately if the water is more than the capacity of the storm water to take in, there should be underground reservoirs wherein the water should go there, so that the roads are not flooded, and when the water accumulates in the reservoir, from the reservoir there should be pumps which can throw them out. So the reservoirs are being made. I am told about 200 reservoirs are being have already been made. Some of them are functional, some of them are not. Wherever there are flood-prone areas, underground reservoirs are there in the Thames, they are there in London, they are there all over. So wherever, when it rains more than the capacity of the system to take away the water, then the reservoirs accommodate the water so that the road doesn't flood. And even if it does, within 5 minutes the water goes away once the pumping station comes into action. These are simple measures which can be done within the budget that has been set aside for it. You don't require additional funds. You don't require fancy solutions. These are very, very simple.
So what is lacking then is political intent. What is lacking is a vision of the current leadership, focus, priority. Those are the things that are lacking clearly. Because if this is not a priority, I don't see what is.
Correct,
if road safety is not a priority, safety of the citizens not a priority, people's day-to-day commute is not a priority in a city like Mumbai, calling itself maximum city, I fail to understand how it can be one, because for me it's maximum inconvenience is all that you get here. Shailesh Sinha, closing comments, go ahead.
Because there is a nexus that exists between the politicians, builders,
my point has always been,
yes, I got that point about the nexus. I want Mr. Shailesh Sinha to also come in on this. Yes, go ahead, sir.
Yeah. What I'm saying is there has always been blames on different departments. Why can't all the departments amalgamate railways, transport service, then, the BMC and all? Why can't they all amalgamate and come on a conclusion that yes, July is the time and we need to commonize the budget and work towards the betterment of society, commuters and even traffic. I'm telling you, about 1.5 lakh people die on the roads of India because of potholes, because so many other things, and potholes plays a very major role. So why can't we take care of the life of people? Why can't we take care of the convenience of people? Why only the politicians or all the other departments are, running in their own directions that this is not my thing, this is not my thing? You are talking about a city, a state, a country. We are all one. Why can't we be one to understand and come to some solution that yes, monsoon would come, rains would happen, the drainage needs to be in place so that people do not suffer. I, as a common man, should not suffer. I mean, Western Expressway, the most important road of the city, from south to north, I've traveled on that expressway a couple of times. I have seen potholes on that expressway, the most VIP. Why can't we see? If we can see the things in our house,
Shailesh Sinha, the potholes, then add to it the delays in metro construction, which has literally restricted the motorable roads. That adds to the congestion. Then, of course, comes the rains, the waterlogging, and the hawkers. There are hawkers along the roads. They are allowed because they would have greased a few palms. They are allowed to operate on the main street. That again adds to the commotion. There are multiple problems and some of it can be easily fixed. And therefore, the biggest takeaway from this conversation is that there is no political intent. There is no sense of priority happening. And if it did, then as the solution suggested by Mr. Prabhu or Mr. Shailesh Gandhi, for example, would have been implemented by now. We wouldn't have to go through this year on year. Thank you so much for joining us here on the program. Yogi Gade, Dilip Cherian, Shailesh Gandhi, Chandrashekhar Prabhu, Shailesh Sinha. Thank you so much for giving us your. Let's take a short break. News and updates continue on the other side.